Joachim Low controls everything he can control and leaves nothing to chance. Rumor has it that whenever Joachim Low travels anywhere by plane, he always sits in the same place, in seat 1A. Before he boards the aircraft, he also always says a little prayer. Superstition on the one hand, faith on the other. Whether it is true or not, the story persists, partly because it doesn't seem to fit Low's public persona. Always well turned out, the Germany coach speaks methodically and carefully at press conferences. As a manager, he seems equally meticulous. Even when his side are at their most free-flowing, they seem perfectly organized. With Low, a man who Der Spiegel once described as the meticulous aesthete, it seems like nothing is left to chance. But then, you don't get to where Low is on luck and instinct. The 58-year-old is one of the most successful managers in world football. Of his 161 games in charge of Germany, he has lost just 25, and in 5 major tournaments, he has never failed to reach the semi-finals. Having taken the reins after the 2006 World Cup, he is the longest-serving national team manager in Europe by a margin of 4 years. As he looks to defend his World Cup title this summer, he does so as probably the most respected coach at the tournament. An enormous part of the national team's success in recent years is down to Joachim Low, said Bayern Munich president Uli Hoeneß this week. After a jolly encounter with fans on a train last autumn, Sport Buzzer described him as the coolest coach of all time. It wasn't always thus. When Low took over from Jurgen Klinsmann 12 years ago, many in Germany were skeptical to say the least. His club coaching career had stalled before he joined the national setup, and while Klinsmann represented a new, laid-back, glamorous Germany, Low was seen as the opposite. He appeared uptight and shy where Klinsmann was gregarious, and his lilting Baden accent made him sound provincial, not cosmopolitan. Since then, Low has undergone a remarkable transformation. His hairstyle, his clothes, and his general demeanor ooze quiet self-confidence, ever more so since he finally won the trophy with Germany. He is now such a cool customer that even when he is caught sniffing his own crotch, he is able to laugh it off without it denting his aura. Low's skill has always been to tread a fine line between meticulous professionalism and a calm, easygoing persona. Whether with his players or with the media, he never raises his voice. Low was a great coach, mainly because you could always talk to him, Joachim Low, who played under Low at Stuttgart in the 1990s, told 11 Friend recently. Hoeneß, meanwhile, sees Low's ability to create a comfortable atmosphere as the foundation of his success. Players want to play for him because they feel comfortable, Hoeneß told Ibn Zeitung this week. After a tough season, if you're going to ask players and do a 5 or 6 week training camp, you need to create a good atmosphere, and he does that. Yet Low also commands authority. Famously, Lukas Podolski was the only Germany player who would ever use du, the informal German word for you, when talking to Low, rather than the more formal sie. For the rest of them, he remains a figure of utmost authority, and when you have as many superstars as Germany do, that is imperative. With Germany's famous production line of talent constantly providing him with new stars, Low's biggest challenge is often working out which players to leave out. He has always faced criticism for leaving big names out of his squad. 7 or 8 years ago, it was Michael Ballack. A little later, at the height of Jurgen Klopp's success, Borussia Dortmund would constantly moan that Low ignored their players, accusing him of favoritism. This summer, it is Leroy Sané who is the victim. Low sensationally announced that he had picked Bayer Leverkusen's Julian Brandt over Sané in his final squad for the World Cup, despite the latter's blistering breakthrough season at Manchester City. Once again, Low was putting the collective above the individual. Brandt is able to play in more positions than Sané, and is therefore more useful to the team as a reserve player. Sané, for all his brilliance, would be a square peg in a round hole, and there is nothing that Low liked less. As with Ballack, Marcel Schmelzer and Stefan Kiesling, the success of the collective will probably vindicate Low. Team spirit, authority and focus above all on the collective. The only other ingredient is Low's meticulous hard work. You notice in the weeks before a tournament that whenever you walk past the coaching team's office, they are deep in discussion, said Manuel Neuer this week. They put so much into reaching the right decision. It is why Low, who naturally favors more attacking, free-flowing football, can also play efficiently if he needs to, a flexibility he showed in 2014. It is why he can drop the likes of Michael Ballack or Leroy Sane, and the vast majority of people will respect his decision. They know that everything has been weighed up, every possibility has been considered, nothing has been left to chance. Low controls everything he can control. And for the things he can't? Well, then superstition and faith will probably fill in the gaps.